Let me just interject one thing at this time. In your opening statement, I note, and it's already in the record, but I want to make sure that it's separately placed in at this moment. You included an unclassified document purported to be from the President of the United States to the President of Libya. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to be very careful. It doesn't have a signature. It looks like it was electronically transmitted.
It's a cable.
This cable, was it, as far as you know, from the President of the United States directly?
Yes.
And was it delivered to the President of Libya directly?
It was.
And does it mention terrorist attack anywhere else? And I'd note that this is September 17th, which would be that Monday afterwards. Does this, in your opinion, in any way, shape, or form, describe the unfortunate circumstances as terrorism to the President of Libya?
I believe it does.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I don't even know.
It's in his opening statement. It was delivered to everybody.
Okay.
These are inclusions. But it says, thank you for responding quickly to the tragic attack in Benghazi. And I'm reading through this thing, well, it's in the record, but as far as I can tell, it speaks of it as a tragic attack. It doesn't speak to it even after Ambassador Rice spoke. It doesn't speak to it as a terrorist attack or our war on terror or fighting terrorism. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't have it before me at this moment.
Okay, we'll deliver it back to you just to make sure. Someone may want to follow up in a moment. Your counsel has it for you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it says outrageous attack.
Okay, so it's an outrageous attack, but it doesn't talk about us working together to fight terrorism, does it?
No.
Okay. Thank you for including that in the record. We now go to the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to also join my colleagues on both sides of the aisle in expressing our condolences to the families of Ambassador Stevens, Sean Smith, Tyrone Wood, and Glenn Doherty, and all of those others injured. I want to quickly clear up just a couple of loose ends from earlier testimony, and then I want to ask a couple of questions about the February 17th Martyr Brigade. But first off, Mr. Hicks, you've testified on numerous occasions that you never got a chance to read the classified ARB report. You do have security clearance that you sat in with the meeting with Mr. Chaffetz that your minder couldn't attend, so you do have security clearance.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then, Mr. Thompson, you testified and answered the question as to why the FEST team, your response team, was not deployed. One of the things you heard was it might not be to a safe location. Do you guys train to deploy to Canada or the Caribbean islands or other safe locations, or are you trained to respond to hotspots?
Hotspots.
And would there have been any reluctance on the part of you or any of the men or women in your organization to go to Libya or anywhere in the world that you were needed to protect Americans?
I hang out with a very noble and brave crowd. The answer is no.
I didn't think so. And then, Mr. Hicks, I want to talk a little bit about what was going on in Libya at the time. There had just been a revolution. We had a newly elected president, democratically elected. We were involved through our NATO partners in that. This was probably a win for the United States. We had a friendly government, a relatively friendly government going in, and then we all but make the new president out to, we throw him under the bus on the Sunday shows. And you testified that that may have been one of the reasons the FBI was slow getting in. Do you think it overall damaged our relationship beyond that with Libya?
It complicated things for that period of time, I think, particularly with respect to the FBI mission. But the Libyan people, as a poll released by Gallup right before 9/11 attests, valued our relationship highly. In fact, higher than almost any other Arab country. It was over 50% of the population.
And isn't that one of the reasons Ambassador Stevens went to Benghazi on that fateful day, is to continue to show our support for what was going on in Libya at the time?
Absolutely, especially to the people of Benghazi.
All right. Now I want to go on. There have been some reports floating around. Can you, Mr. Nordstrom, can you tell me what the role of the February 17th Martyrs Brigade was in protecting the consulate in Benghazi?
Certainly. That was the unit, for lack of a better term, that was provided to us by the Libyan government.
Now, were you aware of any ties of that militia to Islamic extremists?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had that discussion on a number of occasions, the last of which was when there was a Facebook posting of a threat that named Ambassador Stevens and Senator McCain, who was coming out for the elections. That was in the July timeframe. I had met with some of my agents and then also with some annex personnel. We discussed that.
And Mr. Hicks, you were in Libya on the night of the attack. Do you believe the February 17th militia played a role in those attacks, was complacent in those attacks?
Certainly elements of that militia were complicit in the attacks. The attackers had to make a long approach march through multiple checkpoints that were manned by February 17 militia.
All right, now, okay, I'm going to, Mr. Hicks, Mr. Nordstrom, I'm going to ask you both this question. I mean, I'm stunned that the State Department was relying on a militia with extremist ties to protect American diplomats. That doesn't make any sense. How does that happen?
You mean like in Afghanistan, where Afghanis that are working with our military that are embedded and turn on them and shoot them, or Yemen, our embassy was attacked in 2008 by attackers wearing police uniforms, or in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah, we had an attack in 2004. The Saudi National Guard that was protecting our facility reportedly ran from the scene, and then it took 90 minutes before we could get help.
Pretty high unemployment in the United States. I would imagine there's some people that would be willing to take it, Americans that would be willing to take jobs overseas.
We couldn't agree with you more, but unfortunately, as I said earlier, one of the things that we ran into, that was the best bad plan. That was the unit that the Libyan government had initially designated for VIP protection. It was very difficult to extract ourselves from that.
I certainly hope that these hearings will result in us not having to rely on the best of bad plans, and we can use folks like Mr. Thompson and his group for what they were intended and secure our personnel. I see I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman.
Only by little.